Greetings and welcome back to Let's Get Started as Belgium in Victoria 3. So we have much to do and only 40 minutes to do it in, so I'm going to dive right in. The first thing I want to do is take care of the international scene a little bit. We have some extra influence and we can certainly utilize that to improve relations with some of the other great powers. I think we even might have enough, nope, not quite yet, for another power. But we will, and that is because I did decide to make a rival out of Denmark. It would be wonderful if the Netherlands decide that they will ally themselves with Denmark, and maybe we can then grab a little bit of land from both of them. The Danes do have some relatively valuable real estate down here, in that this state does have sulfur available. And as you can see, the Dutch have also started already colonizing the Niger Delta. With that little bit of extra influence then, we'll also improve with the United States. We may eventually want to look into acquiring some territories in the Caribbean, so it's good to keep them on the friendly side. Speaking of territories, we also want to set up our first colony. You have two choices here. You can either go for the Niger Delta, very rich, high population, or you can also try to move in on this land and take some of the Togo region for later merging with whatever you take from Denmark in the region. You can also do both, but it does slow down your progress quite a bit. Though at this point of the game, our progress is going to be slow either way. I'm going to just put down one in Niger for now. And we got popped right in the middle there, which is, well, okay, but not ideal. And I'm going to maybe keep an eye on this as best I can to see if we should sneak in later. So say the British put down something here, there will still be enough room for us to come in here and grab a little bit of a border. And if that happens then as well, the British will finish up colonizing this much quicker than we will, and we can try to swap them something to acquire their land here and move up into the rest of northern Togo later. That's all a dream for now, though. For now, we just have this one little province, but our first colony is up. Let's make sure that we subsidize that port. Alright, we're set on the international scene relatively. Now, next thing I wanted to do, actually, is time-consuming, so I'm not going to do much of it, but we never adjusted our tariffs and subsidies on our goods. Belgium starts with a lot of these turned on. For instance, you can click on wood right away and immediately see that you have import tariffs and export tariffs set up. We're not making any money from them. Let's take a quick look and see what we're making money on in the way of tariffs. Looks like we're making money on some import and export tariffs, the only important ones being steel and iron. The rest we're going to generally leave alone. So for wood, I'm going to at least remove the import tariff so that maybe we import a little bit of that to make up for the fact that we're running a bit shy. I'm also going to check paper, and I'm going to remove any import tariffs on that as well, since that is a government good that we're paying for, and we need to do some financial thinking. The goods I'm going to focus on here, though, so I don't take all day to do this, are those that our company is involved in. So we are actually making money on our import tariffs there, but let's at least get rid of the export tariffs, but not actually promote it. Same way with steel. For tools, on the other hand, I'm thinking I'm going to actually put subventions on export to encourage our company. We'll see if it ends up getting too expensive for us, though, and remove it quickly if that is the case. Same way with motors. I want our company to get a motor industry up and running, so let's give them also subventions for export so that maybe they'll see it as a bit more profitable. The rest of the goods I'm going to leave as is. I wanted to quickly look at our Navy, though, and see how it's coming along. Well, yeah, that's right, I just started the save. It's not coming along at all. So we're not quite there yet. And our munitions plant is also not quite ready. Now, I'm going to move this construction up, and then also move this one down so it doesn't become a problem. Because we might as well finish that construction now and get the munitions plant finished and done. I also noticed that we have a bit of a tax deficit in Flanders. So I'm going to add in a government admin there. We'll move that also to the top, but not quite to the top. There we go. I think that will do for now. The next thing I wanted to do was start saving some money, even though we are building. And in order to do this, I am going to raise taxes. I don't mind the burn rate being that high, but I know bad things are coming, and I want to be prepared for them. Or good things are coming, depending on your perspective. We could also tax coffee, and we might as well. We've got nothing else to do with that authority at present. And let's further upset everybody else and lower this even more, saving us about 300 of our currency. Not exactly a lot, but every bit helps at this moment. Now we can slowly get the clock ticking, in my opinion. But as usual, I'll start it out on a slow tick. So why am I so concerned about our finances? This is going down because, of course, we lowered our prestige by lowering the wages to our government employees, but that's just the way it is. Ah, yes, there was one other thing I wanted to do. This will go away, I hope, either when the people starve and are no longer starving because they're dead, or when the port gets employed up. All right, and that thing I wanted to do, was pass a law. I had thought about this, and there's not a lot of great options right now because the rural folks are just opposed to everything we possibly want, and getting to cultural exclusion is just going to be too difficult right now due to the new movements that we have. So what we can do, though, is maybe move off religious schools. I don't really want to weaken the church now, but if we do it quick and then move on to getting up a health institution, it'll be fine. The chances of passing aren't great, but they're pretty decent, and the church will be upset, but not too upset. So we're going to try this now. I'm trying it now because we're still pretty close to having just had an election, and usually you only have a chance to really smoothly pass one law that doesn't have a huge chance of success during one election cycle. So we want it done before the next election comes up. And if it doesn't pass, then that's fine. All right, let's get the clock a-moving here. So yes, as I was saying, the reason I'm concerned about my finances is because I had mentioned briefly, I believe, the London Conference, but I think I never really got to finish the thought. The London Conference attempts to resolve some disputes between us, Belgium, and the Netherlands. And it will do so by swapping land and swapping debt. And if we win the London Conference, if we come out on top, we're going to actually get land, which is great. However, we will also then get whatever Dutch debt they have accrued from their own war against us before the game started. So we want to be somewhat financially prepared for that. We're not going to be totally prepared, but if we burn a little bit higher right now, then we can at least be somewhat better prepared. I'll speed this up, that is far too slow. And I, in that spirit, will even pause before our munitions plant is finished, just until the London Conference happens. Also so I can see what the private sector is up to here. They're not quite burning enough to go down on the investment pool. That does mean they need another construction sector. A Flemish national movement was born and died. No longer can improve with the US because they have lost their interest. Tell you what, let's improve with the Spanish then. Alright, we're unpausing to finish up one more construction sector for the private sector. And then we will pause once again. There we go. Discipline and punish. This would upset the armed forces, but they are happy enough. Yeah, they will be fine. So I say now, let's see if that comes back to haunt us. We have so many things in red and up there, I don't even want to think about it. The leader of the Catholic Church has been caught in a scandal. He is a moderate. I relatively like a moderate. And he's also not very strong. I'm actually going to say let him stay. Normally, I like to use the opportunity of that event to mix things up a little bit, but I would hate to get somebody who makes the church even less unhappy when we're already passing a law that makes them unhappy. It really looks like we have a big hunk of land there. I must say, I'd rather like that, but we really don't. All right. All right, too many events. Oh, and the Hague Conference has come up. Raising concerns. The intelligentsia are upset. Well, too bad, my friends. Well, but the industrialists are happier. But this is a -4 on them. We would lose this migration attraction, but I'm not sure we're going to actually get any migrants right now anyways. It's possible. It is a bit of a shame. Oh, we only need 8. So actually, they can just be a bit upset for a while, I guess. It's a shame that they'll lose some strength, but sorry, fellas. Weary of the uneasy truce, the great powers have called for a conference. Very well, we shall agree to great power mediation. And who else is involved? Oh, indeed, there are other countries involved in this. London calling. How amusing. Stop improving. Did I improve with them? I am improving. All right. Yeah, they're not in great condition. That is a bit of a shame. I should have planned ahead a little bit further, but it'll be fine. We have the majority of the powers behind us. Now, this event, each of the powers, great powers, will allocate a portion of their prestige based on RNG and how much they like you towards favoring your claims, favoring the Dutch claims, or towards some compromises. You can read the flavor text and what exactly happens at your leisure. However, if they favor our claims, which is, I would say, the most common outcome, then we will have to take on the debt of the Netherlands. And I'm not sure exactly how much that is, but it'll be, equivalent to how much debt we had, or pretty close. So we can expect to have a lot more in the way of interest payments. And we still have almost 4K. It's gone down a tiny bit because of my harsh fiscal measures, but not enough. All you can do once the event has started is just wait for it to progress and hope that the outcome comes in your favor. We probably could sign some treaties to make them even more keen to support us, but I don't want to sign any more treaties right now. I don't like that we paused our munitions plant. I'd like to look a little bit stronger, but until this conference is done, that's what we're doing. We have a stall on our schooling. Indeed, opposition has went up because they are angry now. So our attempts to keep them from getting angry didn't help. That's probably due to the amount of radicals we have. No, it's not affecting them. It's due to our illegitimate government. Well. We'll lose some bureaucracy, but only till the law is done. Well, we'll go with that for now. It's fine. I have a feeling we're going to end up canceling this because that opposition is far too strong. It will never be completed in time before the next election. Private sector is getting some tooling and logging up. That's good. We need both of those. And trade centers as well. And sugar plantations. Well, always nice if they can make some money from our colonies. That is actually one reason I also opted for 1 colony rather than going for 2. Because it just gives the private sector more places they want to build in the colonies. And of course that's nice. I want them to make money. But I also want them to focus on building in our country where people pay taxes. Alright, London Conference is complete, it seems. And nobody favored the Dutch. A lot of people favored this 24 points plan. Which is, it's okay. It's a split. But it seems most have favored our claims. Hurrah! Glory to Greater Belgium. Ratify the London Treaty, and then we'll see shortly, once it's all finished, how that impacts us. Wait, stop. What I wanted to see here, we have a debt of 1.57. And we'll see how much that goes up, and you'll see also how our territories here change. Should be completed very soon. Crooked connections. Nope, we always do everything by the book here. Almost done with pharmaceuticals, so at least we could possibly get that done. That will be a plus to our migration, or migration potential in the future. Netherlands is not taking any action. They will have no choice. They will have to accept it. I'm not sure why the AI is delaying this decision. Rifling is spreading to us. Oh, that is useful because we might run a bit shy on weapons once we upgrade to skirmish infantry. Why are you building me a railway? That's not useful at all. Glass, though, is. British-Belgian Friendship Committee has offered us the opportunity to get investment rights from the British. Oh, thank you. I really don't think so. There is no punishment for either way, though. We'll say we'll be happy to pursue it. It could in some way benefit us. Maybe in some scenario that I have yet to think of. Alright, London Conference concludes. The conference has concluded and decided to award Belgium all of their territorial claims in exchange for assuming Dutch debts. European powers guarantee peace and stability. Continued page 3 to 6. Can you actually advance that? I don't... That's oh yeah, maybe it's just a, flavor text. Continued on pages 3 to 6. Alright. Sometimes it's worth reading the flavor text. I do recommend it. Some of the writers here are quite good. For peace in our time, hurrah. And that 0 debt that it says that we will be assuming is incorrect. Trust me. So these conventions now that are entering into force, that one, are the great powers guaranteeing us. Well, I guess I could click here. So Russia is guaranteeing us, British are guaranteeing us, Germans, Prussians, and Austrians, and I guess the French as well still. All right, well, that is good. As you can see, we've gone under our bureaucracy because we're taking a negative hit here, so that's going to hit our finances as well. And as you can see from the map, Luxembourg is gone. And what did we acquire from them? I had taken a peek, but I don't remember. The only thing I really noticed is that they do have a lead mine, which is beneficial because this glass will use lead and our munitions plant will use lead. And we then no longer need to build lead, which is great. Probably acquired some other stuff from them as well. I think we acquired a tooling, if I recall, so that's good. The steel industry is grossly underemployed. Let me see here. What are we paying in the way of subventions? Just for tools export, not for steel. Tell you what. For just a little while, I'll subvent the steel exports. And have we acquired anything new and interesting here? A tooling as well. Okay, we acquired a tooling in Gelre, not necessarily in Wallonia. All right, sometimes it's worth it to kind of take a peek beforehand and just so you know what you got and you can adjust your building priorities in a more orderly manner than I have done. So how has this impacted our debt? 2.5. That's not bad. It has only raised it by about $1 million. Thank you, Netherlands, for not going in massive debt. Nonetheless, it does mean that our interest payments are up to -7, which means we can't really adjust our financial situation much at present. We do have a bit of extra authority floating here, though, because our navy, I'm guessing, is manned up by now, and we can cancel that enlistment decree. So we could look here and see if there's anything else we could raise money from. About 8 from luxury furniture, that adds up to 16. So we could go for services, and that would impact the upper classes, affecting the lower classes a little bit less. So I think we'll go for that. It's very close financially, but I think this is better. We want the lower classes to spend some money as well. Now, let's move on slow here for just a little bit. I want to see... Well, no, we don't need to stand slow. I want to see how this actually pans out. All right, it has not hit us so hard. Inefficient agriculture. The industrialists have started complaining about the wasteful inefficiencies of subsistence farms in Wallonia. Well, we can either resolve the issue with those farms a bit, or do some military training there, or tell them that manufacturing is great. You guys don't want to be farmers anyways. And that's what we shall do. Another event here. I don't want to upset both the landowners and the church, so this is going to take even longer to enact. We've not had one positive event, and I'm thinking that we will cancel this. The election is probably getting closer. I would very much like to finish that munitions plant, but we've got plenty of people guaranteeing our independence. We don't need to focus on military. I don't know why I keep looking down there. I keep on hoping that we'll go quicker. All right. We will consider finishing the munitions plant after we have dealt with the Congo. Let's take a quick look at what would happen if we say, oh, we don't have a interest down there, so we need that. And because our power status has declined, we actually don't have any more interests. We will need to remove the one in Iberia, pop one in Congo. Have we still got our rivalry with Denmark? We do. All right. They must have an interest in the Rhine region, so we can maintain that rivalry. That is good. We'll get that up and running then. The interest up in Congo up and running then. And we'll look at moving in and taking that. We only have 5 naval ships. We do have an admiral. Great. This army needs to be split then. Why do we have irregular infantry? Interesting. I didn't know we even started with that. Well, we need to branch off then 9 infantry. Confirm. Let's see if we can get a new general for them. Even though we're short on bureaucracy. An explorer who is ruthless. A market liberal. Surveyors are nice for defensive wars. If we were going against the Netherlands, I'd be more tempted. A reformer and a moderate. None of them are militarily speaking that great, because none of them will benefit us in an offensive operation. But he has some military benefits, at least, so we will move him on over to the 2nd Army. Confirm. And then in the 1st Army, I will recruit the surveyor, just in case we do some stuff with the Netherlands later. It will be good to have a surveyor. Now let's take that military unit, the 2nd Army. Let's station them in Congo. And let's move our navy down there as well. Our line infantry should be fine and capable of handling this, but skirmish would be much better. How long would it be until we finish this munitions? 14 weeks. Tell you what, let's finish our munitions plant and then do the war. A bit of a shame, since I said I wanted to resolve the debt problem, but we don't want to take a risk of losing this war. That would, be quite the damper on our early start. Pharmaceuticals are done. Great. Let's see how this does on this tick, and if it doesn't do well, we're going to cancel this. Alright, the intelligentsia. Prime opportunity to break the deadlock. None of these are good, and since I think this is not going to pass, I don't want to upset the intelligentsia at all. I'm going to make them happier, and I am going to cancel this law until we are better positioned. And I'm going to wait for my munitions plant to finish. Alright, thanks. Hopefully that is done, and I can pause this again so we don't lose more money. That munition plant is not going to employ up very well. However, I am going to tell you, you fellas running this company, not you, the listener, that we could subvent export of munitions if they feel so inclined on producing something. Now, militarily, I'm going to only upgrade this army for the moment. Going to keep an eye on them, wait till they upgrade, and then we'll start our little war. 3. They're now cautious. What? Because we built some skirmish infantry? Sometimes I do wonder. Maybe because our relations with somebody else improved. Ah, yes, I should have canceled that. That is a bit of a shame. I'm going to damage relations with Russia for a second. I doubt it will help, but just for a few months. When you improve relations with the rival of another power, a lot of times they are not really happy with that. And the British are not happy that we are a bit friendlier with Russia now. And I should have stopped that. Let's see when the London conference was complete. Let's check who else they have as rivals. Nobody at present. All right. I'm sorry, Britain. Please don't be angry with us. Let's declare this war. You have two options here. Either make a protectorate or annex a country. I tend to lean towards annexing country. Either way, this piece of land is not going to be useful to you for a long, long time. Either there'll be a protectorate that's constantly cranky and using the worst production methods in the world, or they'll have lots of radicals and they'll not be productive because they don't want to work. So your choice which one of the evils you prefer. But I'm going to go with annex because later on we might have other vassals and we might not want to upset them when we lower the autonomy and annex our Congolese vassal. Sokoto is willing to come and aid them, but Sokoto cannot reach them, so it's fine. Britain really did take quite a hit there, but, you know, well, that's all we can do now. Ideological differences of our government. No, that's ideological differences of the Congolese government. All right, good. Confirm, and let's go. Not the Marines. I want to see my soldiers. I want to mobilize them. I do wish we had one more ship, but we've got skirmish infantry. They've got nothing. Labor movement is unlocked. Wow, we are advancing into the modern era very quickly. This should help mobilize the workers to align themselves politically. Improved relations with Prussia has also been broken. That's fine. Now we have extra influence floating around, and this infamy will disappear immediately. Another check on the private sector. Coal and logging, great. Good job, private sector. However, you can see that they're making too much money, apparently. Well, they have burned the investment pool down, though. I wonder how they did that, even though they're, you know, adding money to it at present. Probably some fluctuations in prices. Particularly the construction prices probably came down. I will fix that in just a bit. Alright, 2 arms. Let's click on our navy and tell them to plan the invasion of an enemy state with the small little army. They'll reach there in 13 days. Let's check our general here and see if he has any special orders. Cautious advance. Recovery rate. You know, I actually don't know if it matters. And see, me admitting I don't know stuff, you know, how big of me. If it matters for a naval invasion, what type of orders they have. I've never really checked. I'm going to put him on cautious advance, though. We're not in a hurry to finish this war. And, you know, I'd like to make sure it goes well. Slow and steady wins the race. Good. I wanted to see, pausing once again, so we now have a Belgian-Prussian League as well, but it is only member is the landowners, so they're not important to us in the medium or long term. What I had wanted to see was when the next election is. Alright, less than a year away, so we are not going to try to pass another law at present. None of our governments are particularly legitimate. Apologies there, I might need a sip of water, but unfortunately I have none within reach of me, so I'm just going to have to suffer. Hurry up, they are manning their conscripts. I don't want you to have to face too many soldiers. Why is our organization insufficient? Supply shortage. They are short on what? I'm guessing munitions. That is a severe supply shortage. Military. Alright, I'm going to have to do what I didn't want to do. Upgrade all infantry. Because that raises the costs, of course. It's more expensive to field a more modern force, so I was avoiding doing it until the war was complete. Then go to our munitions plant here. Not employing enough people, it must be that. Unless it's saying we're short on artillery and it's punishing us for that. But there is no artillery in this unit, so it must be munitions, but it doesn't tell you, which is a bit of a shame. It is not. Inputs goods shortage. Tell me. Yeah, artillery. It is punishing us for a shortage of artillery, even though there's no artillery in the unit. That is unfortunate. Alright, low subventions, high subventions. We need to get this resolved before the war begins. It's actually almost too late already. If this doesn't go well in the first little landing, I might have to tell them to pull back. I wonder if it's really no, it must be, because that's a pretty obvious obvious signal that, hey, you're doing badly. Alright. Get on that invasion, my friends. Indeed. Alright, we're pushing in, but we took way more dead casualties than we would have needed to. Our shortage of artillery is not being resolved, which is unfortunate. If the war ends up taking extra long, so be it, but we should still be fine. Alright, it's gonna go fine. We've won the first battles. The Hungry 40s. This is a routine event, for those of you new to the game, where calamity strikes and all of our wheat and our rye is hit by disease outbreaks and throughput malices. How is our grain? It could be worse, but maybe it hasn't adjusted the event. Yes, and it is worse. Alright, that is fine. It's still not bad, actually, so we can leave that as is. The Free Trade Party. Yay. Alright, this war is ours. Coalition coupons. With the Belgian versus Congo war going well, the country is swept up in a frenzy of war. The sitting Free Trade Party has issued letters of endorsement to parliamentary candidates they feel support the war effort. Rally around the flag. Ha ha. How amusing. Alright. Oh, that sounds terrible. Alright, well, Free Trade Party it is. I actually didn't really want them in power the next election, but I don't think they'll be doing so terribly well anyways. No, you can see the Catholic Party seems to be doing great. Alright, Belgium is now twice as big, 3 times as big. That's a pretty big hunk of territory. This area has 53% turmoil, which isn't terrible, to be honest. And it will stay that way for a while. We're not going to do any building here for a bit. Do they have a port? They do indeed, and it is subsidized. They also have a barracks, and I will immediately get rid of that barracks. I don't like troops being in colonial regions. They take too long to man up. Good forests, good irons. So altogether a helpful addition, including our first cotton, which will help as well with keeping our clothing prices more affordable for our people. Private sector is building coal, tools, and steel, as is expected. They're doing perfectly on what we want. Election is coming up, and what I'll hope to do, is to end this episode at the election. It's a good point to end, reshift our priorities, hopefully adjust our economics at the beginning of next episode so that we can actually start building some stuff again. As you can see, the debt has barely gone down. Well, you know, I've been running pretty slow. The animist rights movement. Sounds so modern. The Catholic Party has used the papers brilliantly. Oh, paper throughput. Great. I'm sure paper prices are sky high, and indeed they are. So what I may end up doing in the next episode is also just not caring about debt for a little bit and getting up these extra facilities, because you can see we do have quite harsh shortages on the goods that I had queued up to build, and I'd like some of that resolved. Benin, aw. Oh, that election rolled around quicker than I thought. As they tend to do. Let me do a quick time check here. 35 minutes, that's not bad. It would be lovely if I could always keep these under 40, not my normal like 42, 43, where I'm always pushing it a bit. We've got a new government. Let's put one in power. The only choice we have is whether we want the military in or the rural folk in. The rural folk are probably more useful, though the armed forces are led by a Democrat. I personally don't want to move to census suffrage yet, unless events force us to. The military would support National Guard, but so would the petite bourgeoisie, and the military would oppose. Well, nobody's going to have any support. Yeah, with intelligentsia out of government, this will not pass. There are some movements supporting it, so we could still try, but I'm going to hope that I just don't need to do anything with internal security. I would like police up, though, to get our radicals under control. That is looking very bad for this early in the game, but Belgium usually is. It tends to get revolutionary when the springtime of peoples rolls around. We'll get the armed forces in power then. The only thing that the rural folks really help us with is trying to come off of the mercantilism, but there's enough opposition to coming it off of it. I think we can wait. We'll get a protectionist eventually. All right, so military is in government, as is the entire Catholic Party. Welcome. And is nobody supporting this yet? Yeah, sure, the Catholic Church should support this. Not part of our laws. I guess I gotta let the clock tick a second. There we go. Laws have updated. I'm curious. Proportional taxation. Ooh, very close to actually being viable. No support for it, but always interesting to know when it's becoming viable. We could go backwards. Going backwards is always a great idea. Lots of support for census suffrage. Wow, that's impressive. Who's supporting it? Petite bourgeoisie, intelligentsia. Oh, interesting. All right. Well, what I'm probably going to do next episode is go for the health system. Lots of support for that, and I'd like to get it before the church gets accidentally marginalized. But it may be worth considering whether to hit census voting. I don't think it's a wise idea this early, but events may make us do it anyways, so why not now? No, probably not likely. That we will save for the next episode, though. So, we came out successful from the London conference in this event, which gave us more land, which we desperately did need, but it did not help our balancing sheet at all. We have further debt, and our interest is still hovering around 7K a month, but it is declining. In the next episode, I may do some building anyways, just to at least get the list I have up done, because those industries will help us get more money then in the medium term. Private sector is doing an excellent job, though, at keeping up on the industries that support our company, so I'm not overly concerned with our economic situation. As you can see, it has gone up slowly. Ignore the little bumps. That's from land acquisition. I would assume that relatively large bump here is probably when we picked up Luxembourg and such. We've also expanded our colonial empire. Well, a bit. This Niger Delta region, though, does have quite a few peasants. 50,000 people that could be employed here. So definitely a good place to get some resources that we do not have. And we've gotten the Congo. Yay. That will definitely not go badly for any of the parties involved. Thank you for joining me. I hope that you continued to come up with some good tricks and tips for your own Belgium runs. I believe that we have to go through, at least 2 more episodes before we get to an appropriate place where you can abandon the series. So by all means, don't. You can't. You have not seen the complete picture yet. My coup de grace, my magnus opa. Boy, I need to work on my Latin. All right. Thank you again for joining me. Hope to see you next time, where we will continue to set up our Belgium for world conquest and glory, or, something approximating that. All my best until then. Ciao.